Okay, Erev Tov. It's wonderful to have everyone back at the shir tonight. And it's a special, very, very special shir. It's a shir that's coming from the 25th of Adar. We're still in the month of Adar, so we have to continue to increase in our joy and our simcha. The 25th of Adar, which is the Rebetzin Chaya Mushka's birthday. And we're going into, at the end of the week, Wednesday night, Thursday, we're going into the month of miracles, the month of Geula, the month of Nissan. It's going to be Rosh Chodesh Nissan. Just to mention one or two things when we're talking about the stories that we bring them as we try to have them correlated with the times that we're holding at. So first and foremost, in regard to the Rebetzin, so there was actually one or two stories that I heard recently. The first story was in regard to the fact that the doctor that was taking care of one of the main doctors that was taking care of the Rebbe at the time that he was not well. In Tafshin Lamed Ches, when the Rebbe had his heart issue, was a Dr. Ira Weiss. Dr. Weiss from Chicago. He was one of the major cardiologists in the United States, who literally he picked up, left everything, his entire practice, and he stayed by the Rebbe's side for over 30 days, not moving, not going anywhere, just being by the Rebbe's side. In this type of a situation, it's very rare that the Rebbe shares personal feelings with other people, but in this kind of situation, apparently, the doctor became very close with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe looked at the doctor and asked him, "Tell me, are you happy?" So he said, "Well, I have my practice, and I'm a doctor, and I save lives on a regular basis. Thank God. But with all that, I find that I have a very major challenge in life." And the Rebbe asked him, "What is this?" He said that I barely have any time for my family. I'm always on call. So I could be in the middle of a meal, I could be in the middle of my son's homework, but I never really have the status of consistency being with my family, being at home. The Rebbe looked up to the doctor, and the Rebbe said to the doctor, "I have the same problem." Now, this is an exceptional situation. The Rebbe is coming and literally sharing his personal feelings with the doctor. And the doctor said, "Really? I mean, what's that?" So he says, "Well, there are many people from all over the world, and they depend on their relationship with me, my replies, praying for them by the Frierdiker Rebbe's graveside, and these are situations of grave issues, life and death situations, chas v'sholem. People, on the other hand, that want to get married, and they're waiting for a blessing for the marriage, and so on and so forth. Matters that have to do with not only with health and marriage, also with livelihood, parnasa. A person wants to know if they should go and they should make a deal or not. But all these major issues take away my time at home with my Rebetzin, with my wife. And so the doctor said, "So what do you do?" He said, I found a solution." He found it. He found a solution. And the Rebbe continued. The Rebbe continued to say, "The solution that I found was that I made a good resolution that every day I'll make it home, and I will have 20 minutes together with my wife. We sit down, we have a cup of tea, and those 20 minutes are sacred. No one can take me away from them, and no one can meddle with them with those 20 minutes. And this is how, when I have a consistency, so it's only 20 minutes, true, in quantity, but in quality, it's the entire day together with the Rebetzin. And this was one thing that the Rebbe shared, and it was very, very moving. But this is something that is a general aspect, an instruction for each and every one of us. And it has to do also with the Rosh Chodesh Nissan and the Parashat HaChodesh that we just read this past Shabbos. Because we see that Hashem gives us the mitzvah of sanctifying the moon, and he tells us that the first month of the year is, the first month of the months is Nisan. But the fact of the matter is, it's the months. The first month is Nisan, but we count the years according to the month of Tishrei, not according to the month of Nisan. And the question is, if the months are so important that Hashem, the first mitzvah, before we even leave Egypt, before we leave Mitzrayim, the first mitzvah Hashem gives us is what? Is to go and to sanctify the months. And the first month of the months that we sanctify is Nisan. So why don't we keep the entire calendar according to the months, and not the years according to the orbit of the sun? And if the orbit of the sun is so important, so why do we keep the orbit of the moon according to the months? The Torah tells us very clearly that this is in order to establish the fact that Nisan and Pesach will always be celebrated in the Aviv, in the spring. But we can go and we can have we can have just the months, and not take under consideration the years. The explanation on the larger scale is that, and this is basically also, when we look around, we see that the two greatest beliefs that exist in the world, besides Yiddishkeit, we're talking about the Muslims that count their calendar according to the months, according to the moon, and the Christians, or the Gregorian calendar that counts according to the orbit of the sun. But the only one that counts according to the moon and the sun is the Jewish nation. So what is this? What exactly does this represent? So the concept of the moon is something that is creative. It expresses creativity, because the moon is a constant, in constant movement, growing, getting bigger and bigger until it's a full moon, and then it decreases in its size. So this is telling us that we have to find novelty in life, and we can't just stay the same all the time. But together with this creativity, together with the novelty, so we also have to have consistency. We can't go and be different every day, changing from one day to the next. Even if the consistency, like we just told in the story, is only 20 minutes, so this is exactly our consistency as far as the quality is concerned, not the matter of the quantity. And this is exactly what the Torah tells us, that we have to have this consistency, and we have to go and do the mitzvahs from the time that we lay ourselves to bed until when we wake up in the morning, with the Maidani and Shema Yisrael at night. And this consistency brings us the strength to be able to continue in our creativity. But if it's only one without the other, so then it's not going to work. And this is something that we also see another story connecting with the same story, with the same topic that we were talking about with the Rebetzin. In the year that the Rebetzin Chaya Mushka passed away, in the year of Tismach, the year of rejoicing, of being happy. So that year, Rabbi Leibel Groner, came and he stayed in the Rebbe's house, and because that's where the secretary was needed, and he was there basically during the entire day, and therefore he was able to go and to see what was going on in the house. One of the first things that he encountered was after the Rebetzin passed away, the woman that used to come to clean in the Rebbe's house, she showed up and she came to do her job. Obviously, she knew exactly what happened and so on, but she still came to clean the house. She sat herself down when she entered the house. She sat herself down, made herself a cup of tea, and she started to cry. Rabbi Groner hears a woman crying. He walks over and asks if everything is okay. Why is she crying? So she looks and she's quiet. So Rabbi Groner says, well, the Rebetzin, you were close with the Rebetzin. She said, yes, I was very close with the Rebetzin, but this is not the reason that I'm crying right now. He says, well, what is the reason? And she says, it's him. She's pointing upstairs where the Rebbe, the Rebbe sat, the Rebbe's study. The Rebbe, and she explained. She said, the great rabbi doesn't have a life of his own. His life is all the challenges of the people of the entire world. And the only time that he had the ability to share his personal feelings, his personal things that were going on with him was when he came home for 20 minutes, when he sat and he drank tea with the Rebetzin. And that's gone now. So who's he going to share his challenges with? Who's he going to share his difficulties with? The only time that he had in order to go and to be himself were those 20 minutes, she said, and I saw it because I came here, I was here every day. And I saw that those are 20 minutes that he was able to be himself with the Rebetzin. And this is the reason that she was crying. Comes to teach us a lot of things, many, many things. But one more short story before we start the Shalom Uvracha, before we start the Dvar Malchus. We're still in the month of Adar, and it's the time of happiness, the time of joy. So we have to know how to be able to go and to feel the joy. And we said, there are so many challenges on the way to be able to go and to feel joy. How do we do it? So the Rebbe tells us that every day we have to see to it that we get up and we dance, literally with our feet, we dance. Person can't dance, so they can dance in bed or they can dance on a chair, wiggle their feet. But this movement of dancing and singing, listening to music, this is a movement that brings happiness, that brings joy. But the main thing that brings the happiness and the joy is the studying of the Torah, because Pikudei Hashem mesamchei lev. The studying of the Torah brings the happiness to the heart. It brings joy to the heart. And when we think about the concept of this joy, it's basically bringing us the bond with our trust and our belief in Hashem. So it's told about one young lad that he would go and make his way every day to school, back and forth, to school and back home. One day it looked like a very stormy day, and his mom didn't want him to go out, so she offered to go and to drive him to school. So his son said, "No, Mom, it's okay. I never walk alone. I'm always walking with Hashem. It's fine. I feel great." A young boy, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 years old. So he walked to school. And at the end of the day, his mother looks up and she sees, wow, it's going to be a real thunderstorm. And she had Rachmanis on her son. So she gets into her car and she starts driving. And the whole way she's looking because obviously her son already started to walk. So she wanted to make sure that she wouldn't miss him. From a distance, it already started to rain really very heavily. And there was lightning, constant lightning in the skies, in the heavens. And from a distance, the mother sees her son walking, and he's walking very happily, very, very jolly. And every time the lightning strikes, so he turns and looks up and smiles. And then he turns back his face and he keeps on walking. And again, the lightning strikes, he looks up, he smiles, and then he keeps on walking until finally his mother caught up with him. And he gets into the car. He was very happy that his mother came to pick him up. But his mother looks very puzzled, and she says to him, listen, I couldn't understand. I saw you from a distance, and I saw that every time the lightning struck, I was afraid that you're going to be afraid. You're going to have even bad feelings from the lightning and the thunder. But every time I saw you look up and you're smiling. What was that all about? So her son says, Mom, come on, every time the lightning struck, I looked up because Hashem was taking a picture of me. And the lightning was the flash, in other words. So this is the way that we can look at different challenges in life. We can look at it at a dark and fearful, thundery storm, and even have traumatic experiences that will live on with us afterwards. Or we can look at the challenges as those opportunities that Hashem is giving us to go and to lift us higher, to raise us to a higher level, to make us better than we were before. He's taking a new picture of us towards our more fruitful and successful future. And this is what we have to bear in mind when we have these different challenges, and when we bring it on with simcha, with joy, with dancing, with singing. Nichnas Adar marbim b'simcha. We continue in the happiness and the joy of Adar till the very last day of Adar, till Tuesday night, Wednesday night, when we usher in the Rosh Chodesh of Nissan. And what happens then? When Nissan begins, then we take the entire month of Adar that we accumulated, the happiness and the joy, and this escorts us throughout the entire year until we come to the next year of Adar, of which we add even more and more simcha in our lives. And obviously, with no doubt, the concept of simcha brings us the geula Hashlema v'amitis, with the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach immediately now. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu v'Rabbeinu HaMelech Ha'Moshiach li'olam voed.